My name is David Jubinski. I studied music and composition at UMass Boston under Dr. David Patterson, a student of Nadia Boulanger. You're going to hear two versions of a song I composed with Danny Pryor and Craig Rebello, a song called The Game Boy. It's a piece written for Game Boy and orchestra. The first version you're going to hear is an orchestra performance from November 23rd, 2014. The second is the version that I composed on my computer. It's with synthesized strings and orchestra. Music has always been a reflection of culture, and it will continue to be. If we look at American Revolutionary War culture, we see a hymn written by William Billings, Chester. It reads, "Let tyrants shake their iron rods, let slavery clank her galling chains. We fear them not, we trust in God, New England's God forever reigns." If we look at early 20th century culture within New York City, we see a culture that was reading The Great Gatsby, that was watching skyscrapers being built before their eyes, a culture that was booming pre-Great Depression. We'll find George Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue, a piece that's congested, loud, and so busy it doesn't know what to do with itself, but ultimately grand and beautiful. John Coltrane's free jazz and improvisation, such as in My Favorite Things or Blue Train. People could hear freedom within a culture that was highly segregated. It's no coincidence that the decade that produced The Teenager also produced Buddy Holly and Elvis. That Leonard Bernstein's inclusion of jazz within his 1961 West Side Story was a reflection of a decade of Thelonious Monk, Miles Davis, and John Coltrane. That John Cage wrote the completely silent piece, 4 minutes and 33 seconds, in a time when technology was just starting to bud. In a time when clocks were always ticking, sirens always wailing, and electricity always buzzing. People had forgotten what silence really sounded like. But there's a genre completely dedicated to anti-war songs, written in a culture of Vietnam and the draft. The two, culture and music, are inseparable, and culture is always telling music what to sing. The Game Boy, though less accomplished than the pieces mentioned, is still a reflection of this rule. This is a Game Boy. It looks a little different than the 1989 version, but it's updated to play music. It's the solo instrument in the piece, the Game Boy. The way it works is that I put a cartridge into the back, and the cartridge is a video game. That is Mario Brothers, Pokemon, Batman. It's also a representation of childhood for those who grew up in the 90s. I'm using it to reflect two types of cultures that revolve around us. The first is a gamer culture. Gamers have their own jargon, their own rules and virtues. They even have their own scandal, something you might have heard in the news, Gamergate. If you're a gamer, you're already aware of the culture that revolves around you. If not, here's a statistic to examine. In 2011, the film Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 broke box office opening weekend records by selling $483.2 million. Within its opening 24 hours, the game Call of Duty 2 Black Ops made $500 million. Within the first 24 hours that it was released, Grand Theft Auto 5 made $800 million. The second culture that I'm trying to reflect is one that all of us can identify with, that of an interactive culture. Video games are interactive, as a gamer sits down and interacts with the toy. You tell Mario to jump using the A button, and Mario jumps. Donkey Kong throws a barrel at you, and the game tells you to jump. It's interactive. You're communicating with the toy. Many of our tools now are interactive as well. I tell the car to go and drive, and the car tells me when it needs gas. I go on Amazon.com to buy something, and Amazon tells me what else I might be interested in. I tell my computer to send an email, and the computer tells me when there's an error. Many of our tools have become interactive. The Game Boy is a symbol of interactivity. And though this is a concept that I would like to explore further in future compositions, the concept does exist within the piece. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the piece.